Hello friends, welcome to this my new video about smooth muscle. And in this lecture we will discuss about the distribution, functions and structure and types of smooth muscle. So first of all about the distribution of smooth muscle. Smooth muscles are non-striated or plain and involuntary muscles, and these muscles are present in almost all the organs in the form of sheets, bundles or sheath around the other tissues. Because of their spontaneous activity or activity through the autonomic nervous system, they are also known as involuntary muscle. And structures in which the smooth muscle fibers are present, for example, wall of the organs like esophagus, stomach and intestine in the gastrointestinal tract. Then ducts of the digestive glands, trachea, bronchial tube and alveolar ducts of the respiratory tract, ureter, urinary bladder and urethra in the excretory system, wall of the blood vessels in the circulatory system, and arrector pylorem of the skin, mammary glands, uterus, genital ducts, prostate gland and scrotum in the reproductive system, iris and ciliary body of the eye. Then what are the functions of smooth muscle? So smooth muscles are concerned with the very important function in different parts of the body. So first of all in cardiovascular system, smooth muscle fibers around the blood vessels regulate the blood pressure and blood flow through the different organs and regions of the body. And in respiratory system, contraction and relaxation of the smooth muscle fiber of the air passage alter the diameter of the air passage and regulate the inflow and outflow of the air. Then in digestive system, smooth muscle fibers in the digestive tract help in the movement of the food substances, mixing of the food substances with the digestive juices, absorption of the digested material and elimination of the unwanted substances. Then sphincter along with the digestive tract regulate the flow of the materials. In renal system, smooth muscle fibers in the renal blood vessels regulate the renal blood flow and glomerular filtration. Smooth muscles in the ureter propel the urine from the kidneys to urinary bladder through ureters. Smooth muscles present in the urinary bladder help in voiding urine to the exterior. In reproductive system, in males, the smooth muscle fibers facilitate the movement of the sperm and secretion from the accessory glands along the reproductive tract. In females, these muscles accelerate the movement of the sperm through the genital tract after the sexual act, movement of the ovum into uterus through the fallopian tube, then expulsion of the menstrual fluid and delivery of the baby. Now, what is the structure of the smooth muscle? So, nucleus is a single and elongated and it is centrally placed. You can very well see in this figure that nucleus is a centrally placed. It is a single and elongated. Normally, two or more nucleoli are present in the nucleus. Smooth muscle fibers are fusiform or elongated cells, and these fibers are generally very small, measuring to 2 to 5 microns in diameter and 50 to 200 microns in length. Then about myofibrils and sarcomere. Well-defined myofibrils and sarcomere are absent in smooth muscle, so that the alternate dark and light bands are absent. Absence of the dark and light bands gives the non-striated appearance to the smooth muscle fiber. Then myofilaments and contractile proteins. Contractile proteins in the smooth muscle fiber are actin, myosin and tropomyosin, but troponin or troponin-like substances is absent. Thick and thin filaments are present in smooth muscles. However, these filaments are not arranged in orderly fashion as in skeletal muscle. filaments are formed by myosin molecules and are scattered in sarcoplasm. And these thick filaments contain more numbers of the cross bridges than in skeletal muscle. Thin filaments are formed by actin and tropomyosin molecules. So in this figure you can see here this one is a dense body, this one is a sarcolemma, then this is a nucleus, and this one is a actin filaments, and this is a myosin filament, and this is a gap junction, and this is a caveoli. Now dense body. What is the dense body? So dense body are the special structures of the smooth muscle fibers to which the actin and tropomyosin molecule of the thin filament are attached. So this is a dense body, and this one is a sarcolemma, and here it is a intermediate filaments, and this is a nucleus. This is a thick filament and this is a thin filaments. So the dense body that are scattered all over the sarcoplasm in the network of the intermediate filament, which is formed by the protein desmin, and dense body that is analog like Z disc. So in skeletal muscle the Z disc that is present, and the portion between the two Z disc that is known as sarcomere. But here in smooth muscle dense body analog to Z disc. So here you can see in this figure very well, this is a dense body, and here thick filament and thin filament. So in skeletal muscle here Z disc are present, but in smooth muscle here dense body are present, and in between this there is a thick and thin filament are present. Now some of the dense body are firmly attached with the sarcolemma, and the anchoring of the dense body, intermediate filament and thin filament make the smooth muscle fiber shorten when sliding occurs between the thick and thin filament. Another interesting feature is that the dense body are not arranged in a straight line. Because of this, the smooth muscle fiber twists like corkscrew during the contraction, and adjacent smooth muscle fibers are bound together at the dense body, and it helps to transmit the contraction from the one cell to another throughout the tissue. So here you can see here here in smooth muscles are in a relaxed condition and smooth muscle in a contracted state. Okay, so this is a dense body, and here thick and thin filaments, condition of the thick and thin filaments, and here muscle fibers are shortened. Now covering and tendons. Smooth muscle fibers are covered by the connective tissue, but the tendons and aponeurosis are absent. Now sarcotubular system. Sarcotubular system in the smooth muscle fiber is in the form of network. T tubules are absent and L tubules are poorly developed. Now in this figure you can see here caveoli, and here is a sarcoplasmic reticulum. So sarcoplasmic reticulum in the large smooth muscle fiber showing their relation to invagination in the cell membrane, that is known as caveoli. So caveoli that are in close contact with the sarcoplasmic reticulum. And what is the caveoli? So plasma membrane have pouch like infoldings, and that is known as caveoli. So in smooth muscle the T tubules are absent. In sarcoplasmic reticulum that is a less developed than in the skeletal muscle and lacks a specific pattern. Then what are the special features of the smooth muscle? So smooth muscles are non-striated muscle and contractile units are randomly arranged. No Z line, and instead of the Z line, dense body is present in the cytoplasm and in the cell membrane. Then lots of actin and some myosin molecules, and T tubules are absent, hence striates are also absent, and caveoli, that is analog of the T tubules, and sarcoplasmic reticulum is a poorly developed, and troponin is absent, and instead of that calmodulin is present. So here proportion and organization of the myosin filament in smooth muscle. So this intermediate filament bundles attached to the dense body, and this one is a caveoli, and this is a relaxed smooth muscle fiber, and this one is a contracted smooth muscle fiber. Now types of the smooth muscle fibers. Smooth muscle fibers are of two types, single unit and multi-unit smooth muscle fibers. So in this figure, that is a multi-unit smooth muscles, and this is a single unit smooth muscle. Single unit or visceral smooth muscle fibers. Single unit smooth muscle fibers are the fibers with interconnecting gap junction, and this gap junction allow the rapid spread of the action potential throughout the tissue so that all the muscle fibers show the synchronous contraction as a single unit. So these are the gap junction. So because of the presence of the gap junction, they allow the rapid spread of the action potential throughout the tissue. And this one is a dense body and thick and thin filament. Single unit or visceral smooth muscle fibers are also known as visceral smooth muscle fibers because they are present in the visceral organs. Now features of the single unit smooth muscle fiber. Muscle fibers are arranged in sheet or bundles. Cell membrane of the adjacent fibers fuses at many points to form the gap junction, and through the gap junction ions moves freely from one cell to another cell. So this is a single unit smooth muscle fibers, and here the gap junction are present. So functional syncytium is developed. So this syncytium contracts as a single unit. In this way, the visceral smooth muscle resembles cardiac muscle more than the skeletal muscle. Distribution of the single unit smooth muscle fibers are in the walls of the organ such as gastrointestinal organ, uterus, ureter, and respiratory tract. Now multi-unit smooth muscle fibers. Multi-unit smooth muscle fibers are the muscle fibers without interconnecting gap junction. These smooth muscle fibers resembles the skeletal muscle fibers in many ways. So this is a multi-unit smooth muscle fibers, and this is a single unit smooth muscle fibers, and here the gap junctions are present. And in multi-unit smooth muscle fibers, there is a electrical isolation of the cells that allows the finer motor control. And here the varicosities are present, synaptic contacts. Okay. So features of the multi-unit smooth muscle fibers. So muscle fibers are individual fibers. Each muscle fiber is innervated by single nerve ending. Each muscle fiber has got an outer membrane that is made up of glycoprotein, and which helps to insulate and separate the muscle fibers from one another. Then control of this muscle fiber is mainly by nerve signals, and these smooth muscle fibers do not exhibit a spontaneous contraction. So here this is a single unit smooth muscle cells are connected by gap junction. You can see here the gap junction, and because of the presence of the gap junction they act as a syncytium, so they contract as a single unit, and so these are present in gastrointestinal tract. And now this one is a multi-unit smooth muscle cells are not electrically linked, and each cell must be stimulated independently. But here gap junction is not present, but here the varicosity is present, and multi-unit smooth muscle fibers are present in eye. So varicosities that contain a neurotransmitter. So contact junction in multi-unit smooth muscle fiber, and here diffuse junction in single unit smooth muscle fibers. Then distribution of the multi-unit smooth muscle fibers. Multi-unit fibers are in ciliary muscles of the eye, iris of eye, and arrector pili and smooth muscles of the blood vessels and urinary bladder. Now the types of smooth muscles. Single unit smooth muscle and multi-unit smooth muscle. So single unit smooth muscles are self-excitable and does not require nervous stimulation for contraction, and it is also known as visceral smooth muscle, and fibers become excited and contract as a single unit because of the presence of gap junction. Cells electrically linked by gap junction and can also be described as a functional syncytium, and contraction is slow and energy efficient and well suited for forming walls of distensible and hollow organs. Then in multi-unit smooth muscle fibers, they are neurogenic, consist of discrete units that their function independently of one another. A unit must be separately stimulated by nerves to contract, and found in the walls of the large blood vessels, in large airways to lungs, in muscles of the eye that adjust the lens for near or far vision, in iris of the eye, and at the base of the hair follicle. Thank you.